why we created this career transition workshop. So the difference between the tabs, one of the difference is that tab and our C career transition workshop, we actually bring in a veteran from different branches to talk about their personal experience, their journey, so
Hmm.
that the audience who are transitioning, they can hear about our journey and they
Yeah.
can learn from us.
Up a day, it's your innovation coach, Rob Jackson, and welcome to another edition of the Innovate Guam Podcast, the podcast where we explore all things innovation, technology, and improvement related to the island of Guam. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Substack. My podcasts drop at the beginning of each week. Also, be sure to check out my Innovate column in the Pacific Daily News every other Friday of the month. All right, our first guest is one of the founders and principal driving forces behind the Western Pacific Veterans Community Foundation. Marlene Rivo is a co founder of the Western Pacific Veterans Community Foundation and has served as its executive director and president. She is a retired U.S. Army veteran with extensive experience supporting military organizations, government programs, federal contracting, grants administration, and community partnerships. Her professional background includes service as a warranted purchasing officer specializing in construction, architectural, and engineering contracting. She's also a grants officer representative and an inter-service support agreements manager. Through the Western Pacific Veterans Community, she has helped build initiatives supporting veterans and military families through integrated services, career transition, agriculture, environmental stewardship, community engagement, and long range veteran support infrastructure. She is also involved in Guam conservation and agriculture efforts, including partnerships designed to support farmers, veteran farmers, food security, and the control of invasive species. Joining Marlene is a leader who helped organize and executed the Western Pacific Veteran Community's recent career transition workshop. Elad Levy is an experienced Air Force logistician whose background spans shipping and receiving, inventory control, warehouse management, and transportation planning. He's led teams and managed military full life cycle of logistics operations, everything from the arrival and accountability of material through storage, movement, and final delivery. He has applied that experience in support of the Western Pacific Veterans Community Foundation and its career transition workshop for service members, for the veterans, and for military families on Guam. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the Innovate Guam podcast, Miss Marlene Rivo and Mr. Elad Levy. Marlene, Elad, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad that you were able to join us today and we were able to make this work on today. This is the Innovate Guam podcast. So we always start off with the same question. And that question is, what's your definition of innovation? So, Marlene, I'll hand the mic to you. What's your definition of innovation and what does innovation mean to you?
Okay, so for me, in my own words, I define innovation as constant progress or improvement, and also thinking outside the box if
Hmm.
needed to accomplish the mission within the limits of prescribed guidelines, so no one goes to jail. you know Always follow the rules, right?
Yeah,
So that's
avoiding
my
jail is a good
definition.
thing. Yes. All right, Elon, how about you?
So I define innovation as taking a certain process and making it more efficient, making it better, trying to get to different and better results, and saving time and money for the organization and for the employees and employer.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So next question, for each of you, what is one military developed skill that you believe civilian employers consistently undervalue or misunderstand? So again, we'll go to Marlene first.
So, for me, not so much undervalue, but misunderstands, or they often misunderstood. It would be pride. Because, often it is misconstrued as conceit or know it all. And some of our brothers and sisters in arms actually already paid the ultimate sacrifice, for that pride. And you know very well what we have to go through in the branch of service of our choice to earn that pride. And, that's basically for me, that has been my experience, especially for for myself, being a warranted purchasing and contracting officers. We were trained to be a competent authority, so
Yes.
we better know what we're talking about. So that has never left me. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Elad, how about you?
So, a couple of skills that I've learned in my 20 years in the military, that that are valuable in the military and out, are dedication and time management. Because in my career, time management is extremely important. I use these skills every single minute of every single day. Without it, the mission just suffers and doesn't happen.
Yes.
Dedication, it's something that I don't see enough of, even in the military, and I wish there was more of it in and out. So when you're not dedicated to the mission or to your company motto or company mission, well, I guess there'll be a mission as well. Then you would not be considered a good employee, or in the military a good airman and good NCO, if you're not really dedicated and ready to go give it 100% or 120% really to get that mission done.
Yeah, absolutely, Elad. And that's something that the military culture inculcates in you. It's like no fail, and whatever has to be done, get up early, stay late,
Hmm.
however many hours, whatever kind of effort, do what you need to do in order to make it happen. And it's kind of striking to hear you say you wish that you would see more dedication in the military. And I guess the first thing that came to mind as I heard that was the importance of culture, right? So even in the military, certain units, certain bases, uh, certain sections, if you will, might struggle with culture, right? They don't
Right.
have the right kind of mission focus, or they don't have the right kind of leaders who are inculcating that, hey guys, whatever needs to happen in order to make it happen,
Right.
make the mission happen. So therefore, the people aren't ingrained with that sense of urgency and stuff. So even in
Exactly.
the military, that can happen under poor leadership and leaders that aren't, giving the people that vision and purpose. So I'm glad that
Exactly.
you kind of highlighted that. You
Yes,
want
sir.
any follow ups on that one?
Uh, no, I think you hit it on the head. It really just because we're in the military and we wear the uniform doesn't mean that every single person has the same mindset and same dedication to the mission. Especially the younger airmen that are in today, who are very different than the airmen that I used to be when I first joined. So I do see a very big difference in the culture.
Right. You sound like an old head now.
Hey, I am. I've been 20
You
years.
sound like an old head now. The thing that all old heads say,
Yeah.
uh, these young folks now, I just don't
Yeah,
understand
that's
them.
right. I become an old head. It's amazing.
But,
It's hard to believe.
but that is the whole purpose. Those young folks who are coming in the military, it's us. We're supposed to be able to set that example,
Mhm.
inculcate them with the values, the sense of urgency, the pride, all of those different things that we've been talking about, so that they can carry the torch. They can
Right.
carry the baton the next leg.
Yeah.
So it's our job to give them that. And of course,
Hmm.
they're never going to be just like us. They have
Hmm.
different personalities. They were brought up in a different kind of world, but the values and those kind of things that we're after, that's really where we want them to be, so that they can be old heads talking about the
Right.
new generation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so if I may jump in, you
Uh-huh.
know, I retired in 2012, but I still carry the Army values card in my wallet. So the acronym is leadership. So it's loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, personal courage. Oh, I forgot I, which is integrity. So I still
Yeah,
follow that. you know, yeah. So I
yeah,
guess I'm old school.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So for both of you all, when you meet a veteran who might be struggling to see what comes next, like that next chapter of their life post military, what is the first piece of advice that you give, or the first question um, you ask of them to help them with this? Now, Marlene, you're going to be kind of an expert on this because you've been out for a little while. Elad, you're still in, but
Right.
all of the work that you're doing with veterans organizations has your brain thinking about these kind of things. And as a leader still on active duty, you've got to talk to your troops about, hey, what comes next, and preparing them for the future. So, um, Marlene, what do you think about that? What piece of advice do you give? What questions do you ask?
Okay, so a piece of advice that I can impart to everyone, okay, fellow veterans, and even our brothers and sisters who are still in uniform, when and this is a sort of like an innate trait that we have. We want to help out, right? First, understand, that and accept that everybody's timeline is different, so they may not be ready to open up that first engagement. Second, sometimes some veterans, they're ready, right? Or they'll even come up to you and approach you, can you help me navigate my transition? But some, based on their experience, what traumatic experiences they have, they may not be ready to share. So it's sort of like earning their trust first. So the first questions that I ask, are you okay? What do you need, or how can I be of service? And also based on my experience, since I started getting involved in veteran initiatives and advocacy, what I learned and what I found to be the best question is when I ask, how can I be of service? Instead of, are you okay? Because I've also encountered fellow brothers and sisters, when I ask the question, are you okay? They immediately drop the wall. Some,
Yeah.
that's all they needed to open up. And then when I recognize that, then I give them a hug. Man, I tell you, when I
Yeah.
first started, I was a hugging machine because that's all they needed. I'm like, okay, they wanted a hug, so I hugged them. Yeah, yeah, I was a hugging machine. Can I just get a hug? I said, okay. And somehow the hug made everything felt better, and that was the start. So, and then
Yes.
also
Yes.
what I learned is that, um, in my experience, when we first started, not too many, there were a lot of focus on our brothers and sisters who have already left us. So one of our sister in arms, she asked me, hey sis, do you think it's okay? We put a lot of emphasis, and given, we're not forgetting about them. We always remember them. What about those us who are still living? What are we doing for us?
Yes.
What are we
Good point.
doing? So that was a trigger question. So that led me to go back to my fellow co-founders. Hey, what about we reach back to our fellow service members who are still in uniform, and we start engaging them, because
Mm,
so that we don't wait for them to leave, I mean, to hang their uniform before we introduce these programs. What about we reach back?
Yeah,
So that's what that's what we did, and we continue
yeah,
to do.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Elad, over to you.
It's kind of hard to follow that. Uh, well, what I would say is I would also ask them if they're okay and what I can do to help. But then I would also ask them what they've done so far to try to find work, find a job. If they've accessed all the resources that they have to get that good job, like VA, if they've gone through VA, if they have any material from the TAP briefings, because that gives you all the information that you need to get a transition to the next step beyond the military. I would then suggest I would give them the materials, or I would walk them through the various options they have in order to get into the system to get that the leg into the next into the next job, whether that be civil service or maybe contracting job or whatnot. But then use their experience or their um, service, whatever they did in service, and translate that to the outside, and then find the best match. And some job that will make them happy, some job that would make them feel that they're not actually working. Because I always say, if you enjoy if you enjoy what you do, and if you enjoy your job, then you never really work it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you make me think about something I just heard recently, and somebody was talking about one of the core elements of a non-commissioned officer, that a non-commissioned officer needs to have information or know how to get access to information, because when their people come to them and ask them questions or they need help or whatever, you have to be either armed with that information or
Yeah.
know exactly where to go and get that information where you could steer them to it. And then your credibility goes up when they actually act on your information or go to that place that you steered them or whatever,
Hmm.
and it ends up being solid, because then, oh, this is what Elad, Marlene told me, and I
Yeah.
went there and I found out, oh, this was great. This was right on point. They know what they're talking about, you know.
Right.
So that's a huge part of things. All right, we're
Hmm.
gonna go ahead and shift gears now. um, I want to get into kind of our main interview questions, if you will. And I want to start off talking more with Marlene. I want to get Marlene for you to paint me kind of the backstory of WPVC, Western Pacific Veterans um, um, Community. So I want you to talk to me about kind of the origins and how the organization came to be, some of the big picture things that are going on right now, and then we'll shift gears again, and then I want to go back to you, Elad, and talk about some of the programs that are going on, and a recent transition workshop that was done that we were all at, that I want you to kind of give a back brief of. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and jump in with Marlene. So, Marlene, if you could start us off, can you tell us the story with you and the story behind the organization?
Okay, so it was back in 2012. So I was part of the AGR program, the Active Guard Reserve. So I was Title 32 active duty, and then so the opportunity came up to for retirement. And back then they were looking for AGRs to volunteer for retirement, because they were gonna change out some of the positions to make it a technician. So
Hmm.
I thought to myself, I said, well, I already have a lot of stuff, lined up after retirement. My skill sets are very marketable. So I was the only one who stood up and volunteered to retire. So, you know, I I wanted to do that because the military has been very good to me and my in my family. I am who I am today. I owe it a lot to the numerous mentors that I had, my leadership. They invested a lot in me, training me, investing in my my training and whatnot. So I want to give back. I want to give back, and excuse me. And two of my specialty in contracting is construction and architecture and engineering contracting. So I heard that Senator Frank Uggan at that time he introduced a legislation about Veterans Village. So the idea was to create a one-stop for the veterans. He was a visionary. And he was also in the Air Guard. And then so I was hearing about this one, and then at the same time, being involved with the Veterans Commission, I was, and I'm a life member of the Women Veterans Chapter. Oh, I forgot her charter number. So I just I want to learn. I want to. I was preparing myself what I would do, and I decided that this is what I wanted to do. So I said, you know what? What I learned is that we had at that time we had 19 veteran organizations, and then they had every organization had a different focus. What they how they help us, right? So I said, what they're missing is a an area where they could deliver all of this stuff. So I said, okay, I know this is. I felt that it was my strength, so I started, recruiting people. So back then, our Joint Chief of Staff, Colonel Dyron Cruz, I heard he was about to retire, and he's a people person also. And he's a great leader. I said, okay, he's about to retire, so I talked his ears out, and then yeah, and you guys know that already. So
Yes.
he joined. That's why you guys are part of WIPVIC. And then so he agreed. And then Dan Palacios, he was a retired Force Com Command Sergeant Major for uh, in uh, in the Army, and he was supposed to be the Sergeant Major of the Army, but there were two four-star general who was pulling him, so he just let them decide. So but then he ended up being the first minority Pacific Islander and Asian veteran representative. First one. He served 4 terms. So we met at one of the round tables, and then I met John Pinko at that time. He was a Air Force veteran. He was a JAG and a retired, federal judge. So one of these round tables. And then Ben Palacios approached me. He said, "Hey, I like, what you're talking about." I said, "Yeah, you want to join us?" So then he was in. So he was one of my founders. That's all it took. And then Tim Ono, and Tim is a special forces guy. He's the guy that you see. He flies the American flag. He does the jump, every Liberation Day. Then Dyron introduced him. So the four of us we formed Team Core, and the no, I'm sorry. It was me, Dyron, Tim, and myself. John came in later on. So we formed Team Core, and then we started doing outreach, different types of outreach through,
Hmm.
whoever will listen to us. I mean, we briefed them. We briefed them. And it was so funny because uh, our WIPVIC, as you know today, there are only 4 letters in the acronym. There used to be 7, and it was so funny when we were briefing. Even we couldn't remember what it meant, so we decided we're gonna cut it to 4 letters. So so the way I talk about it, it wasn't all hard work. So we learned, we laughed with each other, we laugh at each other, all these things that we did, right? So we're constantly improving. And then our mentor, Mr. John Garcia, he was the deputy undersecretary of the VA's Intergovernmental Affairs Office at Washington, D.C. He said, Marlene, you guys need to have a nonprofit. So that's how WIPVIC came about. So Team Core was the for-profit side, and WIPVIC is the nonprofit side. So, We never made any money, by the way, on Team Core. That was supposed to be the for profit, because we were all just okay. What can we do? And then we had a lot of people helping us. And then so Tim, Tim, he was also starting his small business, so he had to step out. So Senator Shelley Calvo, she
Mm-hmm.
she's a dear friend of mine. She stepped up and took Tim's position on Team Core, because our
Mm,
goal is to have the community, the civilian community, be part of us. But
right.
we learned at that time it was too early to bring in civilians, because at that time, man, we had 19 veteran organizations. Oh boy, it's you guys know, they were constantly fighting with each other. We said, okay, no, no. So then John Pinco, he was the Gova. He put in his retirement, and then he took Senator Shelley Calvo's position. But Shelley and her husband Paul, from day one, they have always been very supportive of all our initiatives. They never left us. They're always there for us. So
Yes.
that's how it all started for us.
All right. So, why was a Western Pacific focused organization so important, rather than just relying on like your normal national level programs and national level organizations like VFW, Purple Hearts Society, um, um, American Legion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why did you think that it was important to have a Western Pacific focused organization?
Okay, so this actually came up when we were conceptualizing the veteran regional one stop. So how VA tracks our numbers is through the census data result. And we knew, for as far as the development is concerned, we need to put a price tag. And for sure, we didn't want to do a master plan only, taking into account what the number that VA is tracking. So when John and Pinko was the director of GOVA, what he did was he had his staff hand count, manually count the DD214 in his office, and he certified it. So for master planning purposes, we that's what we did. So the count for
What year was that, and what was that number?
2014, it was 27,528. That's just for Guam. But as I mentioned earlier, VA only tracks our numbers based on the census data result, right? At that
Right,
time, what they were tracking was less than 8,000, and
right.
some even said about 88. So what one of the advice that Mr. John Garcia gave us, he said, Marlene, for you to meet the numbers, you need to count regional. So we included
Yes,
everybody, because he said if we were just to use our number that they are tracking at the VA at that time, it would be very difficult for us to land some of the programs. And what we also learned, because we are part of the minority Asian Pacific veteran, islanders, so the need that we have does not necessarily coincide with what are needed stateside. So
yes,
some of the programs that we have here, like our one stop, that is unique to our region. And one of the questions also came up: why choose Guam to develop your one stop or this regional project? Why not Pohnpei? Why not Saipan? Why not Palau, the Philippines, South Korea, or Japan? So the answer to that is because Guam is a U.S. territory, so we can access all the programs that are available to us. That was the answer to that. So and it was so that's how we chose Guam. And then also, when choosing where to build the one stop, we vetted a few properties that we looked at. And then because I actually used the last course that I attended before I retired. It's called strategic acquisition procedure. So that's That's what I followed to organize the project. And then we were supposed to have the Philippines procure a property for us to build this. So it would have been, like, okay, so we already have a regional, one of the regional partners, which is the Philippines. But, the price that we submitted was lower than what the other party put in. So we lost that property. So we went to plan B because we were always looking at the GRMC, the infrastructure is there, and GRMC is underutilized, and it is also a state of the art hospital. It's built
Right.
for the region. So then we found a property that is next to it, owned by Attorney Cesar Cabot. So that's how we ended up working with him because his property is just right next to GRMC.
Yeah. So tell the listeners about kind of the culmination of that work that began so long ago, that um, recent ribbon cutting and opening that happened.
Okay, man, that took too long. We had COVID. The contract was sitting at GSA already at the time. Then we had COVID. How many years was that? Oh my gosh! And then we had Typhoon Mawar, and then finally, it was awarded. And then after the contract was awarded, then the process to find the tenant build out, contractor. That's another contracting process. So fast forward that CBOC Annex is, we have it today because
Yeah,
we worked as a community, and we owe a lot of gratitude to Congresswoman Bordalio, to Mr. Garcia, who worked at the VA level, and then the Congresswoman. And then we had the Guam Veterans Advisory Council. So my co-founder, Dyron Cruz, was the chair for that. And, all the veteran organizations were represented. And then Bill Cundiff was the chair for the Guam Veterans Commission. So what we did was any veteran issues that could be resolved at the local level, we handled that at the Veterans Commission. And then any issues that needed to be elevated at the congressional level, that was elevated to the GVAC, and then the Congresswoman took that to Congress. And then, of course, we had Ben Palacios, who was the representative at that time, which his work actually resulted in about 5 congressional reports, which is which is also one of the source documents we used to develop the feasibility study for the regional one stop. So that is our basically that's our basic document. It's a live document. So all the programs that you see today is just a follow on and is a complementary project and development for the one stop.
absolutely. So, for all the listeners out there, particularly veteran listeners here on Guam and in the region, you can see that this was a long term kind of effort. Yes, challenges and stuff came up, but there was a persistence to getting it done, whatever it takes, through typhoons, et cetera, and it morphed. But this is a continuous work or continuous project. So, with right now, um, the current congressional delegate from Guam, Representative James Moylan, he's working on plans and what does it look like to move um, the regional seat from the Philippines to Guam to do that. Also, there's so many different other ideas that were floating around back then that Marlene was talking about that still haven't come to fruition, wasn't fully done. Like, for example, Marlene was talking about, the plaguing challenge of inaccurate numbers of how many veterans that are in on Guam and in the region. I'm very familiar with that with my work with HMI. HMI in 2025 had the year of the vote count, or the year of the veteran vote count, to basically go out there and try to get those official numbers documented and counted so that um, the services coming from the national VA would reflect the true numbers of amount of veterans there, because there's a lot of services and a lot of resources that the folks out here in the Marianas and the Micronesia need, and the numbers justify that. We just need to go through the right channels and have the right documentation to get those resources that are available. So a lot of work and a lot of opportunities for veterans to get involved and get behind some of these programs to be able to deliver on these things that have been in work for a long time. Marlene, you look like you want to jump in for a follow up.
Yes, I do. So, that approach that HMI did, doing the veteran registry, right? We we did that as well, and then we did that before we knew that the count VA is tracking is from from the census data. And even if we did a veteran registry, it's not necessarily going to count. Hence, we went to the office who's holding our DD 214, which is the GOVA. So last year during our first career transition workshop, so our GOVA director, our brother in arms and Marine Corps veteran Jose San Agustin, actually he announced that I think now they're tracking 27,128. Now that is the real data, because what we also took into consideration is that so the census happens every 10 years, and then let's say when the census person
Yeah,
knocks on your door. Yes, I'm
yeah,
a veteran, but
yeah.
something upset me. Okay, I didn't get my pill or whatever, and you know that we
That's
have
right.
those
That's right. Or
moments, right?
like, who are
I'm not
you?
gonna
And I
tell
don't
you I'm
want.
a
Yeah,
veteran,
I don't want. Yeah,
right?
I don't want to be in the system.
Yeah. So
Yes.
go to the
Yes.
Gova. He
Yeah.
has the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important that that veteran count is something that all of the people are advancing, because again, I think that the perspective from the national level is there's only 5 to 8 thousand veterans here on Guam proper, let alone throughout all of the different islands of Micronesia. And it is much bigger than that, and there's a lot more of a demand for services and resources than the national level really understands. So let me jump to my next question, Marlene. Um, so a lot of great work going on out there, but one of the things that strikes me about Western Pacific Veterans Community Foundation is that it's not really built around a single program. It seems like you're trying to create an ecosystem of different support programs and activities. Can you kind of give us a big picture um, explanation of uh, your organization's portfolio, and what are the major initiatives that the organization is currently working on right now?
Okay. So we have our integrated services and veterans one stop. So I talked about the one stop already, and we just recently submitted our follow on proposal, which we it's a combination of three projects, and we're calling it a Guam Veterans Program, which is our VA state nursing home. And by the way, the VA will pay 65%, and Guam will pay 35%. That's the matching. That's the reason why it needs to be located in a government of Guam facility. So when I know I'm kind of digressing a bit. So when we were doing so we tried to build a or build next to a hospital. So we knew we couldn't build it next to GRMC because that is privately owned. So when we were doing our due diligence, we looked at the old Guam Memorial Hospital, and then we found that it's cost prohibitive. So the cost to basically make the hospital VA design guide compliant, it's cost prohibitive, and there's no space for expansion. And then we looked at the old, you know, um, the location, which is Oka Tamuning, the old location of you know GMH. We came up with the same thing. That used to be where the old GMH was. So there's a lot of hazmat remediation that has to be done, and then it's gonna cost money. So we're like, okay, so instead of expending those funds, and then time in construction, time is also money, right? We want to get to the delivery phase. So that we came up with the same thing. What about expansion, future expansion? So we felt that it was just too small. But what we needed to substantiate our due diligence was a feasibility study. But unfortunately, Governor Calvo ran out of time. So and Governor Lulian Guerrero, she was the president of Bank of Guam before. So I constantly we updated her. We give her because if we were to bring in investors to Guam to help, you know because we were trying to do a public private partnership. So the VA was just
Yes.
starting to navigate PPP at that time. So we needed to work with a bank who can handle the level of investment that our potential investors would bring in. So we met with the different banks, and then we met with president, who is now our governor. And then as you know, her background is also in a healthcare, so she's very familiar with that. So I was very proud of her, because the first thing she did in her first term was to actually get a feasibility study done for the hospital, because we ran out of time during. So I was very proud of her when she did that. So I said, okay. So that's what we needed. But unfortunately, with varying opinions from our local leadership and the community, they don't feel that the right location would be in Manilao. But then I want to take you guys back to 2019. I'm sorry, to March 2020, when the COVID lockdown started happening.
Yes.
So then you have the military installation. So you had NBG, you had Anderson Air Force Base. And and as a retired colonel in the Air Force, Rob, what is a installation commander's first responsibility? To secure his troops, right? So
Secure
naturally,
the facility. Yes.
yes, naturally they lock down the bases. And guess who is left out? The Guam Army National Guard. And a lot of our sons and daughters of Guam are members of the Guam National Guard, Army or Air. And guess what we don't have for them? We don't have our local hospital. They can go to GM. I mean, what we have GMH. So I'm like, look, I came from the guard, right? And then I was so happy. I said, yay! The feasibility study, by the way, was done by the Army Corps of Engineer. They did the study, and the location would be in Manilao. Where's the location next to the Army National Guard? So I was very happy. But again, that is beyond my paycheck. So we have that. And then we have the VA, the VA state nursing home, which
Yeah.
has to be built in a government facility. So guess what? Again, it is a complementary development. So
Yes.
that's bullet number one. And then bullet number two, gourmet to go and food or produce delivery. So we are advancing in age, and even our disability, having served our all volunteer military, right? Our symptoms is getting worse. And then also we have a partnership with the GCC culinary program, which, by the way, the
Yes.
executive chef Paul, um, Chef Paul Kerner, he is a world-renowned chef. He is an army veteran, and when he competed and represented Guam in the world cooking competition in France, Guam came number two. I wonder why. The competition was held in France. I wonder why. And then we're also part of a member of the American Culinary Federation, Guam Post, because we wanna partner with anybody who will welcome the veterans, because we don't all want to do the same thing. We have veterans who actually went through culinary school, and then they're cooking, they're culinarians. And then the produce delivery. So we have our brother in arms, Army veteran Charlie Hermosa. He owns a drone company, Bella Wings. So we
Yes.
thought, okay, if you can go out to get your food, then we would deliver it to you doorstep, using a drone. We want to leverage technology, right? And
Yes.
then yes, and then we
This
have a
is the Innovation Guam podcast.
yeah, yeah. Who? Oh, the army and me came out. Okay, then we have the Tranquility Garden. So I met Chef Mirko Agostini, the executive chef at the Hyatt. I met him at one of the ACF meetings, and then when I talked about our programs, and then he pulled me to the side. He said, "Marlene, I want to partner with your organization because we have Chef Tony. He started this garden. We need help to bring it back to life." So in 2 weeks, we actually launched the Tranquility Garden. And the idea of the Tranquility Garden is to provide an environment where we could bring in veterans, active duty, reservists, their family members, and the community volunteers. We just plant together. We garden together, because gardening is it's a good
Yeah.
workout, especially as we advance in age, because you're constantly moving, you're lifting, you're walking, you're getting, vitamin D3 from the sun. It's just a lot of and you're growing your own food. And then when you touch the soil with your bare hands, and soil gets underneath your fingernails, then you get like endorphins, the happy hormones. And then guess what, when you get to the harvest phase, even if I remember when I started gardening, my first harvest was one eggplant. Oh my god, I was on top of the world. Yeah. And then I used my farm as a teaching farm for veterans and military before. So we had a lot of Navy reserves. They came to, and the Sea Cadets, they came to my garden. And then I used it as a teaching farm, but I wasn't the one necessarily teaching. What I did was I shared a lot of the USDA programs that I knew about. And with the help of our, I learned this through USDA over at FSA and RCS, and then also Department of, Agriculture and UOG. So I just shared, what I knew. And then our community gardens. So sometime last year, we were supposed to build one over at the Dementia Center in Jigo. That's still in the works. We're going to do that. And then aquaculture. We were the first one to get our system in 2019 over in Talafofo at the Jeremy Newby. So that's how our partnership started with the UOGC grant. And, my maestro, David Chrysostomo, man, I'm telling you, I mean, he was just so patient, just so patient. And then, as a matter of fact, it was one of the programs that we briefed during the first agriability regional conference hosted by Dr. Kwan Chen at the Hyatt. So Dr. Kwan Chen is the director for the Farmer Focus at the UOG. So we participated, we briefed our vets to depths on our aquaculture, and then the horticulture therapy. So, and you guys are a member of the chat group that I created since July 2021. It's called the Trans-Pacific Veterans Farmers chat group. But as you know, we talk about a lot of other topics aside from farming there. So we have a lot of horticulturists in the chat group. So they help guide us. They help advise us in what you know how we should garden. But we also, and I also wanted to mention that Dr. Rita Sharma, the director of School of Psychology, is part of that program. So between Dr. Kwan Chan's program and Dr. Sharma, we hope to launch a horticulture garden so that we can implement horticulture therapy because agriculture is an approved therapy for veterans. So the VA and USDA partnered back in 2016. That's also the same time that we launched our agriculture programs. And then the the next bullet would be the career transition and employment support. So when I chaired the veterans committee and the Society of American Military Engineers, because my co-founder Ben Palacios, he owned Pearl Construction, so he introduced us to SAME. So
Mhm.
we briefed our project to SAME members in 2014, and at that time they needed somebody to to stand up their veterans committee. And guess who Ben Palacios volunteered? It was me. They go, "You're the youngest one in the group, so this is gonna be you." I said, "Okay, 3 bags full. Okay, I don't know what I'm getting into, but okay, yes, sir." So I chaired the Veterans Committee for about 4 years, and we held our first. It was when Major General Esther Agigi was the Adjutant General for the Guam Army National Guard. So we hosted the first open house back in 2019 at the Guard, at the Barrigada Readiness Center, and along with that, we held our first. At that time, it's called Warrior Transition Workshop. So I tried to do it with with SAME, but then their focus is for Society of American Military Engineers. So it
Yeah.
was taking away from that. So we decided that it has to be a conference in its own. So we had our first career transition workshop, and our major sponsor was is because they still are the Wounded Warrior Project last year. So I met Philip Billiot through Joe Connolly, because he was, when he was about to retire, he called me and he said, "Mar, I want to help. I want to do what I can." And he said that he was going to go through a training with the Wounded Warrior Project. And then, soon as he completed his training as a peer leader for Wounded Warrior Project, he introduced me to Philip Billiot. And as our relationship and partnership keeps growing. And then the last bullet, I'm sorry, employment support. So along these lines, we have a partnership with the Department of Labor. They have what's called the Work Experience Program. So we first launched this in 2020 at Jeremy Newby, and our success story is a Marine Corps veteran, William Schulenberg, and Phyllis Topasnya is she works at the Department of Labor. So she helped me write 4 position descriptions for the we. So we have admin specialist, we have farmer, farmer laborer, farmer mechanic, and farmer accountant. So those 4 are already in the system. And then if there are other position description, like let's say in your case it's all entry level. So
Yeah.
the work experience is let's say our veterans are looking to do something and they don't have experience in doing it, performing that job, from their service, then we can put them in the we. So during their work experience contract with DOL pays for their salary. So we can bring in as many admin assistant, as many farm labor, as many farmer mechanic and farmer accounting or accountant to our, I'm sorry, farmer bookkeeper into our program. But the key is that at the expiration or conclusion of their DOL contract, we have to hire at least one as a full-time employee. So we've been advocating to our other employers that we know about the we program. Hey, hire our veterans. DOL, they have this we program. So at least during the probation period, you have the we, and then also skill bridge. So I was trying to convince SAME to have at least some of the companies participate in skill bridge. So the way the skill bridge work is that before the service member retires, and it is widely used or by, and I learned that it's mostly Air Force who are using the skill bridge out here.
I use Skill Bridge during my transition time frame.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then the Army has a similar program. It's called P3. So you know how skill bridge works. So then we were trying to advocate for employers or business owners, members of SAME, if they could help us get more skill bridge participants, so that when we have retiring service members, they could participate or choose their company, because there's a lot of skill bridge contractors in the States, but not too many here in Guam,
yeah.
especially with the growth that we are going through right now. And the last bullet, the programs for unhoused veterans, it's no longer called homeless; it's called unhoused. We have the homes for heroes, that for veterans who and family members, their family members who are currently unhoused or at risk of being unhoused. So the idea to that is that we would develop, homes for heroes, leveraging the Department of War innovative readiness training. Where they could come in and do some part of at least the civil works, so that it would drive the development costs down. And then we found some, other sources of funding that we could apply for, again, so that we could drive the development costs down. And we want to be able to sell some of these homes to our unhoused and at risk of being unhoused veterans. Or and by the way, homes for heroes is not only for veterans; it's also for your first responders, like your firefighters,
Mm,
your
yeah,
GPD. So
yeah,
again, a lot of the programs that we are creating, the goal is 100% community reintegration.
yeah,
So we want to go back, we want to learn, alongside our civilian counterparts, how to assert ourselves back into the civilian community.
yeah. And then there's vets to depths that you might want to highlight as well before we transition away from this topic.
For vets to depths. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yes. So the idea, to our vets to depths is that actually it's a two-pronged approach. Not only it's a therapy, but we wanted to bring archery as the first adapted sports, to Guam. And also, with agriculture being an approved therapy, what we learned is that it is difficult to get to the harvest phase, because you have the feral swine, you know, um, getting to your farm. And
yes,
especially for those farmers, if farming is their primary source of income, it can be very, very stressful. And then you will also have to deal with the elements, typhoons and whatnot. And when you farm, not all the crops that you farm, you can, harvest is like
harvest
based on
yield is what
cycles.
the term is.
Yes. So vets to depths, it is a form of therapy, and it is primarily volunteers. So the person who wrote, actually there are two of them who wrote the executive summary for the vets to depths. He was a master sergeant from 36 LRS, Master Sergeant William Harmon, and also an Army veteran, Mr. Ed George. And of course, with the blessing of our commander, it was his name is Lieutenant Colonel Steve Anderson. He was very supportive of everything that we did. So
Yeah.
we owe a lot to him. Why we have more Air Force involved in the programs. So so sometime about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we did a soft launch of our Vets to Depths in collaboration with the White Buffalo, which is the contractor contracted by DoD to eradicate the feral swine in the DoD facilities with the Northern Guam Soil and Water Conservation District, and then USDA APS Wildlife Services. And what we learned from that soft launch is that our how we or our mission for the Vets to Depths, and also with the White Buffalo and USDA and NGSWCD, is not necessarily the same because ours is primarily therapy. So, if you remember, I mentioned the Army acronym earlier, leadership, which ESSA stands for self service. Because one of the thing and veterans, we are number one nationally, ranked number one in the nation for volunteerism. One of the things that I learned since I got involved with the veterans advocacy is that part of the culture shock that we go through during our transition is that we feel like we've lost a purpose. Unlike when we wore the uniform, you have a job and this is what you do. And towards the a common goal, which is uh, guarding or securing our American way of life. So that was the
Right.
goal. So, and you knew at your level what you contribute based on your specialty, your MOS or your AFSC, how your MOS or AFSC contributes to that common goal, right? So when the service member goes through their transition, part of being, that again, that culture shock is, what am I going to do now? I went through it myself. It's like, oh my gosh, I can wake up anytime I want. I can, nobody's telling me what to do. I don't have to tell anybody what to do. Man, I was taking the wrong kid to the wrong appointment. I was even taking my my kids to school, not remembering that it was a holiday. So that those, part of my journey transitioning, right? After retirement. So it was like, and but being in uniform, we are it's you're coming from a very structured environment. Boom, 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 you know what to do, right? And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, what am I going to do? Yeah. So sense of purpose. So
Yeah.
that's why we volunteer. And
Yeah.
so
So
the service that
volunteering.
yeah, so the service that we provide, whatever that may be, based on what the veteran organization we are affiliated with, we know it's helping the community, giving back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, for the listeners, you just heard a huge mouthful of a big, giant portfolio of a lot of different things, everything from medical and healthcare to food and produce delivery to gardens and horticulture and aquaculture to um, career transition and employment support, all the way to homeless or unhoused, um, supporting unhoused veterans and their families, all the way to adaptive therapy and invasive species kinds of issues. So, a huge, very, very diverse portfolio of a lot of different things that are on your agenda. And I think one that creates a great volunteer opportunity for all veterans out there. A lot of different ways that you can help and help support the different mission. And even more importantly, it provides an opportunity to partner with other veteran service organizations out there because we all can't do it all. So particularly with a portfolio this diverse, where can we make the right connections with the right kind of organizations in order to move the support for veterans forward, not necessarily about one organization becoming the Borg and taking over, if you will. That's my Star Trek reference for the day. Resistance is futile. So lots of great things on the table and part of the portfolio. So now I want to switch gears and I want to call up Elad. Elad, um, one part of what Marlene was talking about was the career transition workshop and kind of the theory behind that. Uh, you just recently had a career transition workshop. Um, can you talk about that most recent one that was held in June over at the Hilton?
Sure, of course. So the second annual career transition workshop was on the 19th of June, and the event was just a little different than the original one. We added a few thing, we changed a few aspects, but essentially we opened up the event with the colors with the colors from the Anderson Air Force Base Honor Guard. Actually, they were willing to help us out with sending a team of I think it was five airmen to do the colors, and then um, we had a one of our Anderson Air Force Base members as well sing the anthem, national anthem, the American anthem, and the Guam national anthem as well, which was the Guam hymn, which was it was really terrific. Having a my fellow NCO that I work with really bring that to us, and hearing her talented voice and her memory, remembering all those words. That's I can't do it. But yeah, it was great. So that's how we started it, and then before that we had different companies and different employers set up tables around the room, and just offering pamphlets, information, any employment opportunities, just so the the personnel, the people, the vets that whoever comes by can talk to them face to face and to get that information um, straight from them, as opposed to just trying to blindly make phone calls and checking online and whatnot. So it gives them the opportunity to get to know these employers and to get that the help for the next step uh, to get a good job.
Yeah,
But yeah, beyond that, we had these sessions that covered the government, entrepreneurship, logistics, safety, and veteran support. Far beyond just regular resume tips. So that's that all. I believe that helped and will help these vets really move on to a better place and to get a more secure job or a career.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and so the expo was built on on conversations, not just tables. So the employers and organizations stayed to engage even before, during, and after the event. So it didn't just end with a have a good day to comments. It was have a good day, but please do stay and speak to these
right.
employers and get the opportunity to get to know them and get to know you and get the business cards, etc. And then last uh, we did welcome some service members to include myself, and I believe we had a few others that were close to retirement. Some that they've been out for a while, and some that just got out. So just a mixture of of them and some of their spouses or family members. different stages of the transition, and not and it's not just just ETS kind of a date. It's an estimated time of separation. So
Right.
yeah, I just want to give them options as to not just here and not just PowerPoint presentation, but also to get that personal contact with them, with employers.
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me when you were talking, Elad, was about kind of the fact that you and your fellow NCOs who are active duty right now, you all were really the core group of people, um, planning, organizing, and executing this event. Can you talk to kind of some of the experience or how you drew upon your experience and skill sets and logistics and operations and stuff like that to plan and execute an event like that?
Sure, yeah. So what led what first of all, I wasn't the one who came up with the idea. Obviously, that was Marlene. But the idea came from TAP. So the TAP, the Transition Assistance Program in the Air Force, and I'm not sure other services, but I know at least in the Air Force we have that. So
No,
that
it's all service, congressionally mandated.
oh, okay, copy. Yeah. So before I get to that, my background, as you mentioned, is in logistics, and it taught me the right things. It taught me to get the right things to the right place in the right time. And now I want to apply that to people and opportunities. Right. So I joined the WPVC because I've always been that person that's been wondering, what's next, and I didn't want others to face that alone. So I want to apply what I've learned and what my fellow members of WPVC and those vets that I've got to know, and apply all that knowledge and help them along, and not be um, isolated and thinking that. So, and then this workshop helped me to, and this workshop, it let me turn my operations experience into something that directly supports the transitions on Guam, because TAP, as great as it is, it gives you a lot of information. I have not been through it myself, but I have known plenty of people who have, and they're telling me it is very valuable to go through not only once, but several times. And I believe you mentioned it in your speech in the event in the career transition program, that attending the TAP program once is, or more than once, is kind of like having, I think you mentioned, like having ammunition, and something like having ammunition going forward, um, to use anyway for the next
Yeah,
stage of
I'm
your
I'm
life.
definitely an advocate of
Yeah.
multiple taps, and I see it just like preparing for um, contingency operations or an exercise, right?
Right.
So you go through multiple different training spin up cycles, multiple different rehearsals, multiple different preparations for that exercise or for that contingency operation. I think
Hmm.
that you know. Your next chapter of life is just as important, if not more. So I am an advocate of multiple attendance at TAP because, quite frankly, just like you heard that day, um, if you were to apply everything that you got out of the transition assistant program seminar, uh, you would need about a year of full-time effort to actually do all of the work that's required, let alone your understanding of how to use that information. So again, starting like, hey, I think I'm 3 years out or 2 years out from my separation date or my retirement date. Let me go and start getting this information. And now I can start organizing all of this information into the things that are most pertinent to me and to prioritize. So definitely, definitely, um, you know, transition assistance program is very, very important. Now, you pointed out something. Um, it sounds like with uh, the organization saw maybe some gaps and seams between what TAP was offering versus what people here locally in Guam uh, needed or could help them. Is that a true statement? And if so, what specific things did you see that you really wanted to fill in and help with offering this workshop?
Well, as good as the tap is, it's not specifically tailored for Guam living. So what WPVC has offered with this career transition program is or a workshop is it reflects Guam's cost of living, the job market, or the relationship driven culture, and that last one is big here in Guam because island life, it's hardcore relationship driven. It's all about who you know and getting and strengthening those ties because it's very much a family oriented culture. So if you if you don't know these employees, if you don't know the right people that can introduce you to the right opportunity, then the tap will get you so far, but then the career transition workshop can get you that extra step, the local step to if you wanted to retire or separate on Guam and make a career and live on Guam for an indefinite amount of time, for however
Yeah.
long you want to be here.
Yeah, great point. So let me read this back to you. What I'm hearing you say is that that was a huge part in who you wanted to be there. Uh, those tables that were set up around the room of what kind of people will be that going to be there to kind of be able to network with and present, make presentations, etc. You wanted those kind of people there to be able to start that networking and relationship building early.
Right, correct.
Yeah. So, can you talk to some of those specific organizations and individuals that you deliberately and intentionally made sure was a part of this workshop?
Oh, specifically who was there?
Yeah.
Um, I would have to refer to Marlene. She has better memory than me when it comes to the actual companies that were there. Because I wasn't too involved with who was invited to those to the event. But I think I'm pretty sure Marlene remembers exactly who
Mike's
was
over
there.
to Marlene.
Okay. So first, I wanted to say, I wanted to talk about why we created this career transition workshop. So the difference between the tabs, one of the difference is that TAP and our C career transition workshop, we actually bring in a veteran from different branches to talk about their personal experience, their journey, so
Hmm.
that the audience who are transitioning, they can hear about our journey and they
Yeah.
can learn from us. So basically it's part of sustainability, right? Okay, so I'm
Right.
about to go, so what did you encounter? Because even with me, we were only allowed to attend taps one time. And can you imagine, I served 26 and a half years, and in 1 week I'm supposed to absorb all of those information, go through my medical and whatnot. So like you said, Rob, it takes about a year to go through all of those information overload that they give
Yes.
you, and it's all
Yes.
website. So what we provide in in our career transition workshop is that personal interface. You're talking to veterans, who transitioned, sharing their journey. And then we have Gova. They were there. We have the Wounded Warrior Project, our major
You
sponsor.
mean the Guam Office of Veterans Affairs?
Yes, and then
Okay.
we have the VFW post 2917, and our sister in arms, Jen Paz, who was a retired PA from the army. She's a BSO. So if you Google, the VA website, her name is actually there. And then we have the color guard from
Those VSOs, veteran service officers, those people are the ones that uh, are legally trained to help you with um, your filing your benefit claims, etc. And the difference being that those people are the only ones recognized for the VA to represent you in that and help you with that, as well as if there should be any issue on the back end, they can they're authorized to basically uh, represent in court, if you will. So they're accountable for any advice that they've given you in terms of um, filing those things. But ultimately, uh, it still is the members' responsibility to put that together. So, a knowledgeable person can help them out. And, it's best to also look to empower yourself to the greatest extent. But go ahead.
Yeah, so for our speakers this past on June 19, we had you as the Air Force veteran. We had Chief Warrant Officer Manny Pangilinan from the Coast Guard. So this is the first time that we had a Coast Guard. So hopefully next year we need somebody from the U.S. Space Force. Then it's complete. And then we had Charlie Hermosa for the Marine Corps, and then we had Ann Dela Cruz for the Army. Who else am I missing? I got everybody right.
I think so.
Uh,
No, our
Navy. Navy.
our
We had
former
Tim,
Navy SEAL.
Oh,
McKenna,
that's what
Navy SEAL. He
McKenna.
was
Yeah.
Yeah,
a Navy speaker. Yeah. So what we try to do at WIPVIC is that we try to get a representative from every branch of service, and it
yeah,
was nice. It was a nice combination too, because like Chief Pangilinan, he's still serving and he's about to retire.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
he's still in. In your case, you're already out, and well, and Anne, I believe she's still in. She's still
She
serving.
is. Yeah, she's still
Yeah.
in.
Also, yeah,
As a reserve officer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it was a nice combination, and it was a very engaging and very powerful, you know,
Sure was.
yeah,
interactive communication, basically with all the attendees. And
yeah,
like I said during the career transition workshop, that environment is for you guys. It's not for us. So
yeah,
everyone that was there, we were just there to support, but it's
Mhm.
for the transitioning members and the speakers, and actually Philip, man, he was very happy. He was
Mhm.
very
yeah.
happy. He was telling me, I said, yeah, because it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yes. So, Elad, back to you. From your perspective, what went um, especially well during this year's workshop?
Well, I think it was a shift. It might be the shift from quiet browsing to active, curious conversations with these various organizations. We gave more time to get that information and uh, talk to them. And I think that was what was a little different than the previous one. Um, Also, we saw participants asking more detailed questions about day-to-day roles and career paths that they can possibly have. Um, and then lastly, but not least, mentoring relationships to start right there in the room. Veterans guiding other veterans. Like Marlene mentioned, we had all the speakers were veterans, and they were there to give any information even beyond their speeches, and then that which was very valuable to everybody in the room. So
Yeah,
I think having you and the other vets give us a brief us and share your experiences was a huge improvement and that's one of the biggest aspects of the event that went really well.
What's one thing that maybe didn't go so well, or you hope you want to improve for the next workshop coming up next year?
I think what could be improved on is the level of outreach that we can do, or rather, getting more participants to know and to actually attend the event. Even though we had an okay showing, a number of people that were there, but it could always be improved. Well, we did reach out to all the bases, and we did have public affairs send out an email to at least to Anderson. I can't speak to the Army side. I'm sure the Army and the Navy sent it out as well. However, the way that it was sent out could be improved because at least what I've seen in the Air Force side, when it was sent out, it was buried between all other announcements. So it wasn't like a dedicated email from public affairs saying, "Hey, everybody, there's going to be a career transition workshop on this day and this time, this location. Please attend it." It wasn't like that. It was like, "Hey, everybody, just say here's an email with a bunch of attachments to it. One of those being, the career transition program." So it was kind of buried in there. So I think the way we reach out to vets in Guam and to active duty members that may be interested could definitely be improved.
Okay,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah. So go ahead.
oh, sorry, yeah. Um, so some other aspects that could be improved. Future workshops should include more structured one-on-one coaching and mock interviews, possibly. I think that could be a lot of value to some people. Um, and then to go, the goal isn't to the goal is to prove this isn't just a good day. It's the start of a long-term transition campaign.
Yes,
Um, those are some things that could be improved on.
yeah. So if my humble opinion, uh, advice, or suggestion, in the spirit of collaboration, I think really a vision maybe that the organization adopts for the future is really the idea of a partnered collaborative transition workshop. I say that only because there's a lot of different organizations either doing or wanting to do the same thing. Um, Obviously, you all have been at it for a couple years now. HMI has a pretty good format and track record, and they've been doing a symposium and a workshop um, once every 6 months. Uh, the Guam Office of Veterans Affairs would like to do something like this and improve their outreach. The Department of Labor has wanted to do the same thing. As Marlene talked about before, SAME was trying to do a similar kind of thing. It would be wonderful. Again, this is like pie in the sky, unicorns and rainbows here. But if all of the organizations would get together and partner around a once every 6 month kind of workshop, multi-day, structured so that um, all of the different unique components that each organization is bringing to the table and unique resources and unique information, those participants can get in that one sitting, if you multi-day sitting, so that they come out of there really armed and empowered. And also, it would help with um, the kind of speakers and other people who could show up if they
Right.
were doing there, if we kind of combined that. So again, that's my own uh, wish, dream, goal, etc. If we could all get together and as a unified veteran services organizations, as well as government and industry and academic organizations come together around once every 6 months. All of us are going to come in and we're going to provide all of this information and resources for the veterans, or the soon to be veterans who are going to be transitioning, so that they're prepared. And more importantly, just like we talked about earlier, and Marlene made the point of, is Guam has a great opportunity to recruit those people to be residents of Guam. Think
Mhm.
about those people leaving the military service with all of those skills, all of those abilities as leadership and dedication and all of that kind of stuff, staying here on Guam and investing themselves in Guam to make Guam better. That's really the pitch. That's really, the big tagline to sell this. Guam wants those kind of people staying here, making Guam their home, and investing themselves and making Guam's community better. So that's
Definitely.
what I offer as my humble vision, and whatever more collaboration to get everybody pull their resources behind one event, rather than a fragmented kind of thing.
It's a great idea, and I think there was some conversation about combining some of these organizations in the future, doing something like that. So hopefully something that does come out of it, and it'll only be of value to all the vets and all the soon-to-be vets that are in Guam. And
Yeah, every organization has their own unique
Mm.
skill set that they do better than somebody else, or what they specialize in, or they have a particular set of information. So all of us being able to come together and then provide the whole package at once, I think would be very value added.
of course,
So if I may jump in, one of the improvements also that was recommended is that because last year and this year we conducted the workshop on June 19. And the reason why we selected that, we thought, oh, it would be, it would be a holiday. We're not taking anybody from work. And if we do it, on
Just the
base,
opposite. They want to
yeah,
go home
exactly,
and
they
relax.
wanted to stay
yeah,
home.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the
yeah. They don't.
recommendation, yeah,
This is an opportunity to get out of work. Yes, I am
yes,
motivated to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah,
So the recommendation for next year is that we are going to host it the week before the 19th. So that was the
yeah.
recommendation.
And even better, um, if we can host it, maybe even on one of the bases, so that we get one of the services, at least, if not all of the services, with skin in the game, so that they feel like they have to, like Elad was talking about, market this better to make sure that there's the right kind of um, um, turnout, because they got skin in the game. They're the installation commander is going to make remarks. It's going to be on his or her installation. They're going to want their people to show up, and show out. So,
So
yeah,
we did that in June 19 at the Guard. So it was a combination of like an open house. So of course there's a lot of people there. You have the families and you know uh, the Guard members, but the experience from that is that it was more focused towards the events for the families. So then the speakers waited, for the service members to show up, to sit down and for the excuse me, the warrior transition brief. And then we hosted one at Anderson. And then even with the advertising that we did, there weren't too many and it was during work, there weren't too many participants from the base either. So
yeah, I
surely
think that's why
there's
it's important to, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's why I think it's important that something like this on this scale to be effective has to bring everybody unified, because all of these different organizations have different networks, right? And if all of them came and put it out through their networks and had skin in the game for it, the kind of turnout you would get would be, pretty amazing, I think.
Yeah. And we actually, for the second one, we actually invited, I invited, the, like HMI, we invited, Got Your 671. And,
Yeah.
yeah, we invited them. But, Got Your 671, they didn't have anyone to man the booth, because they focus on, like suicide prevention with the
Right.
Guam behavioral health. And then HMI, we didn't get any answer to our invitation. So it's not that we weren't wanting to bring them in.
No,
So
I'm
yeah,
not calling out. I'm just putting out a vision, a
yeah.
an idea about what it could be, not saying I'm not trying to poke anybody in the eye by saying they're not collaborating, nor am I suggesting that people who didn't show up or whatever, well, they're not supporting the cause. I'm just saying that if we all come together around this particular idea and we all bring our best skill sets to the table to help each other on behalf of the veterans, all of this will be better.
No, I understand. I understand. And the only
Yeah,
reason why I brought that, because there's a there's an opportunity for improvement. So instead of just sending an invitation, perhaps we can involve them on the early
yeah,
stage, the planning stage.
yeah,
So instead
yeah.
of just
In the
sending an
planning
invitation,
stage. Yeah,
yes, yeah.
yeah,
So that's the
yeah,
reason why I brought
exactly.
that up. Because just like on the
Exactly.
Got Your 671, all of them, I mean, all of the leadership makeup, they have work, full time. And like what we talked
Yes.
about earlier, June 19 is a holiday. It's probably the first day off they get, So
Yeah.
yeah, so we can, there's room for improvement. So we can get them to participate, from the planning phase instead of just invitation. That's what I'm trying to
Yes.
say. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I tell you, this has been a fantastic conversation. Marlene, Elad, thank you both so much for um, engaging in this very important and inspiring conversation. I was really motivated, inspired to hear about the very broad and diverse portfolio of different programs and initiatives that WIPVIC has on its table. I know I got get used to saying that acronym. It's probably easier for me to say Western Pacific Veterans Community. Um, but thank you so much for what you guys do. Thank you for an outstanding workshop this year. And I am very, very excited about what is to come with your work with the veterans in the community, uh, our government officials, as well as the other veteran helping organizations in the community. So, turning over the mic for both of you all, if somebody has heard something today that they're interested in and they want to contact and get involved, they want to volunteer or they want to donate or they want more information, how can they contact you?
Okay. So Elad, you want to take this one? Our VP of Seeds of Hope.
uh, well, I would say uh, if anybody wants to wants to volunteer or contact us, we of course have our our email addresses and contact information, um, which of course we can provide if needed. But do you have any other means of contact, Marlene, to provide?
Yes. So I have my email, which is marlene.slomka@gmail.com. And my cell
Okay.
phone is 671-688-8889.
And then my
Very close to
contact
my
info.
number.
And then
Go
if
ahead.
anybody wants to contact me, it'll be my email would be eladlevy23 at yahoo.com, and a good contact number for me would be 671-480-3845. So feel free to contact if you have any questions.
Outstanding. So thank you again, Marlene, Elad. We really enjoyed having you on the Innovate Guam podcast. And thank you so much to all of the members of the Western Pacific Veterans Community Foundation. You all represent it very well. I know we just have two faces up today, but there are many different people behind the scenes who are volunteering their blood, sweat, and tears to make a lot of these initiatives happen. And I just want to say, hats off to you. I salute you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for what you do every day for the organization. To my audience, I hope you were inspired and learned something today. I certainly did. Remember to follow me on all social media platforms, including Substack. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on future episodes. And don't forget to check out my Innovate column in the Pacific Daily News every other Friday of the month. Um, and as we sign off, as always, uh, remember whether you're at work, at home, or at play, always innovate. Thank you.